Hi guys, welcome back to a new video on the channel. Now finally, the predictions are back. Nice chilled video this one. We're going to go through the Premier League predictions for the weekend. As you can tell, I've got my Premier League kit on. Dreaming, I know. So we start with Aston Villa versus Sheffield United. It's going to be an interesting game. I think that both teams are going to come into this, and there's going to be the benchmark. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them to see how it all works out and everything else. So I've actually gone here with a 1-1 draw. I'm not saying that no one will win that game. I just think it's the first game. There's a lot of pressure. We don't know how the teams are going to react. We don't know if it's going to look like a training game, if it's going to have the intensity. So I've gone with a 1-1 there. Then later on we have Manchester City versus Arsenal, and I've gone with a 2-1 win for Manchester City. I don't think that it's going to be a high scoring game. I don't think that many of these games are going to be extremely high scoring. But you've got to take into consideration everything that's gone on. The players' match fitness isn't going to be up there yet. So we shall see. But I've definitely gone with that there. So it's 2-1. On to the Friday night games, Norwich City versus Southampton. Now, I've dwelled over scores for this, back and forth, and then I thought, well, it's a prediction. If it's wrong, it's wrong. So what I've actually gone with here is a 2-0 win for Norwich. Spurs versus Manchester United. This one for me was a little bit more tricky. Spurs have had some issues. Obviously, they're going to miss Ali. They haven't had the best of friendlies, but again, everyone's sort of on a level playing field. But at their big stadium, quiet, eerie, it's not going to have the same fear factor. I've gone with a 3-1 win for Manchester United, so it's going to be interesting, that game. So we move on to the Saturday, and there's the 4 games. And the great thing about this is it feels a little bit like the European Championships, because you've got your early game, your middle game, your late game, your evening game. So it's quite nice. So we start off with the early games, 12:30, which is Watford at home to Leicester. Now this is where I've gone with a 3-0 win for Leicester City. As I said, I don't see Watford surviving. I don't see Watford picking up enough points to survive. I may be wrong. But I think Leicester are going to win this one comfortably 3-0. So we move on to the next game at 3 o'clock, and that involves Brighton and Arsenal. Obviously, the 2 games at the beginning were the games in hand, so I'm now doing the full fixture. So you will hear City and Arsenal twice, and Villa and Sheffield United. So I've gone with Brighton 1, Arsenal 2. I think Arsenal will bounce back from a possible defeat to Manchester City, and I think they'll get the reverse scoreline against Brighton. Brighton are still in trouble, but I think they might just have, as I did in the prediction video, might just have enough. If you haven't watched that video yet, go and check that out. I've got the Premier League predictions and the Championship as well. So we move on to the 5:30 kickoff, and that is West Ham United versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now this is another game which I ummed and ahed about a scoreline. But then I reverted back to the prediction table I did with the results online, and I had this at 1-1. So I stuck with that. West Ham 1, Wolves 1. Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace. It's going to be an interesting game. I think that there could be a couple of goals in this, and I've actually gone with a 2-0 win for Crystal Palace. So we move on to Sunday, and the 2 o'clock game is Newcastle versus Sheffield United. And I think that Sheffield United will have 4 points from 6. I think they'll go and win this one by 2-1. Then the kickoff at 4:15, you have Aston Villa versus Chelsea. I believe, yes, I'm correct. Yes, so it's Aston Villa versus Chelsea. And I've actually given that as a 2-0 win for Chelsea. So 2 home games for Villa, but I only think they're going to get a point from that. I do think they're going to struggle, but I do think they might just get themselves out. Then on Sunday, we have Everton versus Liverpool at 7 o'clock, the Merseyside derby. It's going to be an interesting one, because normally derbies like this are very intense, especially at Goodison Park. The Liverpool players are not made to feel welcome. The Liverpool fans are going to be a short, but this time there's no one. So it might give us a sort of a sneak preview to the North London derby, where these games are still derbies, and obviously the players know how much it means to the fans, but the fans aren't there to, for example, intimidate the Liverpool players, but then they're also not there to make the Everton players feel too much pressure. But I can see this as being the highest scoring game of the weekend. I've actually got this as a 3-2 win for Liverpool, putting them one step closer to that title. I think it'll be 3-2. Then Monday is the final game at 8 o'clock, and that is Manchester City versus Burnley. And I think that Manchester City will win that by 2-0. So that completes the predictions, guys, for this weekend, the week and the midweek games for the Premiership. I'm going to have a look at how the fixtures go next week, sort of from Tuesday onwards, and see if it's worth doing the days individually, or whether it's worth just doing the round of fixtures. See what you guys think. If you've got some advice in the comments, I've had some great advice off you guys recently, so let me know. Let me know in the comments what your predictions are. You don't have to agree with me. You can think I've got them all wrong and have your own. It's not a problem. Like I've said, I want this channel to feel more like yours as well as mine, and we can all work together in a wonderful community as we are, loving football. So guys, stay tuned. I'm going to do the Championship predictions as well, as finally my team Reading get back to playing in competitive matches. We did win the other day against Portsmouth 3-1, but I want the league games back. So Premier League fans, enjoy your games this week. All the best to your team, whoever you support in the Premiership, and we'll see you again for another video, guys. Take care.